Hello, hello. Welcome once again to another edition of Quoth Raven, Lewis Bright Raven. I'm your host, Lewis Bright Raven, 33-year veteran comics, science fiction, fantasy, horror, and role-playing game creator and publisher. My co-host is Ravenous. Or is it Ravenous?
Ravenous.
Ravenous? Okay. All right. Anyway, it's Chris Hall at glasshouserowingstones@gmail.com. And it's Friday. That means it's movie night. We're doing a double feature tonight. We're talking about two films about the same character, but you wouldn't know it.
No, two extremely different movies, but yeah, based on the same character.
So let's go ahead and take a look at the first one. And that is Delamorte Delamore, also known as Cemetary Man, from 1994. Directed by Michele Soavi, screenplay by Gianni Romoli, based on Delamorte Delamore by Tiziano Sclavi, who is the creator of the character Dylan Dog. That's why you see the Dylan Dog character name in the top right corner of the poster. Produced by Tilde Corsi, Giovanni Romoli, and Michele Soavi. Starring Rupert Everett, Francois Haji Lazaro, Anna Falchi, Bibiana Formica, Katya Anten, and a few other people, but those were the main ones. Production company was Audifilm. It was released in the U.S., distributed by October Films, and released on April 26, 1996, a couple years later in the U.S. It was originally an Italian film. And for those who don't know, Dylan Dog is an Italian comic book produced by Benelli Comics. So that's where they got the idea and rights from. What it's about. Francesco Delamorte is a cemetery caretaker in the small Italian town of Buffalora. He lives in a ramshackle house on the premises, constantly surrounded by death, with only his mentally disabled assistant, Nagi, for company. The young punks in town spread gossip that Delamorte is impotent. His hobbies are reading outdated telephone directories in which he crosses out the names of the deceased and tries to assemble a puzzled shape like a human skull. Nagi can only speak one word. Nah. Now, the Latin inscription over the Buffalora Cemetery gate reads, Resurrectorus, for those who will rise again. And indeed, some people do rise from their graves as aggressive zombies within 7 nights following their deaths. Well, Delamorte destroys these creatures, which he calls returners, before they overrun the town. Buffalora's mayor is so fixated on his re-election campaign that he doesn't register Delamorte's pleas for an investigation as to why this is happening. Just ignore it. It's just going to go away. Being an outcast in the village and almost illiterate, because all he can read is the phone book, apparently, Delamorte does not want to lose his job, so he doesn't really push things too much. He only opens up to his friend Franco, a municipal clerk, but he doesn't file the paperwork to get assistance. It's just easier to shoot them. Well, later on, at a funeral, Delamorte falls in love with the young widow of a rich elderly man. And she is won over when Delamorte tells her about the ossuary, which she adores. While consummating their relationship by her late husband's grave, the undead partner rises and bites her. Wasn't that fun?
That was great. A seminal scene in the movie.
Yes, she seems to die, but the coroner claims it was a heart attack. During the worst, Delamorte stays near her corpse and shoots her when she rises.
I love that the mayor was like, oh, well, it can't be you. You're impotent.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, Nagi became infatuated with the mayor's teen daughter, Valentina, but she is tragically decapitated in a motorcycle accident. So undeterred, Nagi digs up her reanimated head and begins an innocent romance with just the head. The romance is, however, the relationship is cut short, however, when the mayor finds out and Valentine rips out his throat with her teeth, forcing Delamorte to shoot her. The young widow that he just shot in the morgue also rises again, causing him to believe that she was not really a zombie when he first shot her, in which case he was the one who killed her. This makes him plummet into a depression and is visited by the leering figure of death, who tells him, stop killing your dead and suggests shooting a living instead. And given what's going on in the town and how people are, that isn't necessarily bad advice. Delamorte encounters two more unnamed women, identical in appearance to his now dead lover, without explanation. The first is an assistant to the new mayor. What happened to the old one? Well, he kind of got in trouble. She confesses to Delamorte that she is terrified of sexual penetration, so Delamorte demands to have his penis removed by the local doctor. The local doctor refuses to do so and instead gives him an injection to induce temporary impotence. Okay, now you are impotent.
Right.
What was the point? Meanwhile, the woman, following being raped and falling in love with her employer, has now lost her phobia of being penetrated. Nothing like that. That's just...
You gotta love the French.
Yeah. Or the Italian.
Oh, yeah, the Italian, yeah. Gotta love the Italians.
Yeah. So she plans to marry her rapist and discards Delamorte, the cemetery man. So now his grip on reality is slipping, and he heads into town at night and kills the punks who have made fun of him for years, because now he is at least temporarily impotent. And then he encounters a third manifestation of the woman he loves, and they go to bed together. But when he later learns that she's a prostitute, he decides to kill her and the other woman by setting her house on fire. Okay. This is what the heck? Sooner or later, Franco, the clerk that was his friend, is accused of all these murders after killing his wife and child, and he attempts suicide. Delamorte goes to visit Franco in a hospital. Sitting by the hospital bed, he casually murders a nun, a nurse, and a doctor. Franco claims not to recognize him. Distraught and confused, Delamorte screams out a confession that he did it, but it's not ignored, or he gets ignored. Nagi and Delamorte pack up their car and decide they're going to leave Bufalora after all this nonsense. But Nagi's head is injured when Delamorte slams on the brakes because there's something wrong. They exit the vehicle and walk to the edge of the road, where it drops suddenly into a chasm. Nagi begins to seize and collapses to the ground. Delamorte realizes that the rest of the world no longer exists, or never did exist. And fearing that his assistant is dying, he loads a gun with 2 dum-dum bullets to finish them both off. However, Delamorte cannot bring himself to shoot his friend. Nagi wakes up, drops the gun off the cliff, and asks to be taken home, speaking clearly for the very first time. And Delamorte replies, nah. And then the credits roll, and the camera reveals the 2 men standing inside of a snow globe. And that's the end of the film.
Yeah. That was some crazy shit.
But go ahead, Chris.
Yeah. Oh my God. I did not remember this being so boring. I fell asleep watching it multiple times. Somehow Raven was able to get a plot together. I'm not sure how. So no explanation as to what's going on. It's just all over the place. And if it wasn't for Anna Fulci's excessive and gratuitous nudity, there wouldn't be anything to see. And I would have given this 3 stars, but I gave it 2.5 for Rupert Everett's butt shot. So that knocked it down a bit. And this was my pick, so yeah, I can't even blame Raven for this. Like, oh yeah, let's watch Cemetery Man. Yeah.
Yep, that's true. I remember this being different than what it was. Not sure why. I found myself being profoundly annoyed at the townspeople and the constant she, that's Anna Falchi. Being multiple duplicate women was a little bit too weird, as it's never truly explained how or why. Though that sort of thing does happen with the Dylan Dog IP brand. So it's not like it's a big deal. It's just, I wish they could have given some explanation.
Right.
The ending was interesting, and it made you wonder about the world and also what Della Morte is or isn't. The whole reversal between him and Nagi at the end of the Snow Globe ending, making the audience question whether any of this was real or all in Della Morte, or even yourself as an outside observer's mind. But I do remember it being more confusing as to who she was. I kept thinking she was just the same woman coming back over and over from being killed because she wouldn't let Della Morte go. Now that I realize it was different women, it makes somewhat more sense, but it's also more confusing because they didn't explain how. It's an interesting film, but I was kind of indifferent overall to it. I don't know how I feel, to be honest with you. We both kind of gave it a 2.5. I was going to give it a 3, but I was like, eh.
It's just, yeah, it's so bizarre. Like, it's just, this is such a European film. That's all I can say for it.
It's a European film. Whoever wrote this was trying to truncate not a Dylan Dog comic, but an actual story by the same author who created Dylan Dog, which is called Della Morte Della More.
Right.
And it's a prose novel. And you're truncating it. So they're missing out on so much element of the stories that there's nothing there. And I don't know why they did that. There is more to the plot to this thing. They just didn't produce it. I wish they had.
Or they did, and it just got cut, left on the cutting room floor.
Well, if it got cut on the cutting room floor, it wasn't long enough film to be cutting it. But oh well. We gave it 2.5 each, and well, we're going to learn on that one, right?
Right. I'm sure when this thing debuted, there was like a whole theater full of Italian people going, "Bravo, bravo! Oh yes, bravo! Oh, such a good story."
Anyway, the next one is Dylan Dog, Dead of Night from 2010. I'll let you read it.
All right. This is Dylan Dog, Dead of Night from 2010, directed by Kevin Munro. Written by Thomas Dean Donnelly and Joshua Oppenheimer, based on the Dylan Dog comic by Tiziano Scalavi, produced by Ashok Imbritraj, Scott Mitchell, Rosenberg, and Gilbert Adler, starring Brandon Routh, Sam Huntington, Anita Bream, Peter Stormare, Taye Diggs. Production company was Hyde Park Entertainment, Platinum Studios, Inc. and OmniLab Media Group, distributed by Omni Freestyle Releasing. Release date was April 29th, 2011 in the US. Running time is about 1 hour and 48 minutes. What this is about. In New Orleans, Dylan Dog, a paranormal detective, recounts his past experiences helping people with supernatural cases until his wife was killed by vampires. He currently works on regular cases with his partner, Marcus Deckler. When Elizabeth Ryan finds her father dead and is attacked by a strange creature, she seeks Dylan's help. Initially reluctant, Dylan changes his mind after Marcus is killed by the same creature. He begins investigating and identifies the killer as an 18 to 19-year-old werewolf from the Cisnos clan. Them damn Greek werewolves. Dylan suspects Mara, the daughter of his old friend Gabriel, which he visits. Then Gabriel's son, Wolfgang, attacks Dylan, but is defeated. Dylan discovers Mara's body in a warehouse and encounters a vampire. Elizabeth reveals her father's missing artifact, linking it to the vampire's attacks. Dylan and Elizabeth are later attacked by vampires demanding the heart. They escape and continue their investigation. At the morgue, Dylan finds Marcus turned into a zombie. Dylan takes Marcus and Elizabeth to a black market for body parts where they learn that vampires, led by Vargas, seek the heart. Dylan confronts Vargas at a nightclub but gets no answers. Dylan consults his vampire friend Borelli, who reveals that the heart is the heart of Belial, a relic containing the blood of an ancient monster. Dylan retrieves the relic from a vampire's elder's tomb, but is captured by Vargas. Vargas admits to killing Dylan's wife and takes the heart before trapping Dylan and Marcus in a crypt. After escaping, Dylan and Marcus pursue Vargas, who plans to turn Elizabeth into a vampire with Belial's blood. Dylan realizes Elizabeth is the true enemy and wants revenge for her father's death. He confronts her at the Corpus House and battles Belial, who possesses Vargas. Elizabeth is attacked by Wolfgang and his werewolf allies, ultimately killing her. Belial dies, leaving Vargas unconscious. Dylan entrusts the heart to Wolfgang, and decides to revive his paranormal detective agency, partnering with Marcus once again.
And again, Marcus is a zombie now. So now he's got a zombie partner.
JC, I agree. I thought this movie was very underrated.
Yeah, very underrated movie. I much preferred this movie over Cemetery Man. The character of Dylan Dog, which Cemetery Man is based on, was a bit more truer to the character, in my opinion, in this film, albeit more Americanized in this film because the other film was Italian. And it's sort of odd that since Dylan Dog is an Italian-based comic series, you'd think that Cemetery Man would be the more accurate, but it is what it is.
One would think.
The plot here is much more direct, and the humor is a lot more slapstick and not overtly sexualized in Cemetery Man. No worries about whether or not Dylan's going to make himself impotent here. And Brandon Routh is just also a bit more charming in the role than Rupert Everett, who played Francesco Dylan as a bit of a weirdo, almost more like Dylan's assistant Groucho. And yes, in the comics, Groucho bears resemblance to Groucho Marx. That having been said, I would say that Cemetery Man is the more cerebral of the two films, as the plot here is pretty straightforward, whereas the other movie does have more layers and more of an esoteric meaning behind what they're trying to say in the movie. They're trying to put some confusion in there on purpose.
Right.
But for me, I think the less sex and the more straightforward plot and the better leading man, in my opinion, made for the more entertaining film.
Absolutely.
And now it's your turn.
Love Brandon Routh's performance. The film had a plot and not so sexually driven, although Brandon Routh is cute. He gotta admit, he's cute. Yeah, I said it. I ain't afraid to admit it when a man is sexually attractive, even if I am straight. Sam Huntington was a good comedy relief throughout the film. Kurt Angle in the movie was hilarious as the werewolf son, even as a serious role. But it was Dylan Dog, but was it Dylan Dog? Or was it Americanized something? Well, it was very Americanized, but I like my movies American and dumb, so. I've never read any of the original Italian or the Dark Horse translated editions from Benelli years ago, so I'm not sure how to close it or how close it translates to the original source material.
Yeah, like I said, it's not exactly the same since it's based in New Orleans and it's Americanized. But I would say this film is much truer to the source than Cemetery Man was in terms of the type of storytelling and the humor and stuff than Cemetery, which seemed to be more towards the novel that they were trying to translate rather than Dylan. But they were trying to promote it as this is a Dylan Dog thing because the creator was based off of the story by the creator of Dylan Dog, Scalzi or whatever. So yeah.
And the costume is even more accurate. So
this reminded me of Constantine with more humor. Yeah. 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 Well, they had a decent budget. I mean, the budget was like $4 million, which is not that bad for a low budget type film, but it didn't make any money, unfortunately.
No. Well, I'm wondering if it made its money back in like DVDs and streaming and stuff like that.
I know it didn't make it on the box office. I don't know about the other. Yes, yes, we actually reviewed that a couple weeks ago.
Or if the people over in Europe watched it and liked it, or if they were like, "This sucks. What is this crap? I do not want this is not Dylan Dog."
But anyway, we both gave this one 4 out of 5. We liked it much better.
Give me Rupert Everett any time.
Okay. But The Batman crossover. Yeah, we both reviewed that. When did we review that? A couple of weeks, 3 weeks ago.
Oh God, it was longer than that. It was probably 4 months ago.
Was it that long ago?
I
Okay.
I think so. I really think it was. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can look real quick, I guess.
Pretty sure it was winter.
Yeah.
At
Let's
least
see.
here, anyway.
Oh, that's terrible. It was winter here anyway.
Right? Yeah.
Uh,
Y'all, y'all Southerners don't get that winter.
we get winter. It's just not the same. Okay. Let's see.
Oh, Europe has some really good crowd-funded indie comics, which
mhm.
some would translate. Yeah, they do. Yeah. We don't get enough European comics over here. We really don't.
Yeah, in fact, a lot of the stuff that I review on my channel when I do the crowdfunding reviews are the stuff that is being translated into English. So,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And then you have Manga Monday. And so, like, you do a lot of non-American comics.
yeah. Let's see. I'm still looking for it.
I would even go as far as to say you have some disdain for a lot of American comics.
No, it's corporate. I'm just anti-corporate. That's all.
Pull, pull on the Americans.
Yeah. But anyway, um, yeah. But yeah, we do a lot of stuff for Europe, and manga. Like he says, my manga is on Mondays, but crowdfunding has almost always got something in Europe. So
Yes.
all
Viva
right.
la France.
Okay. And speaking of American movies and American superheroes for next week, we've heard enough of the crying and moaning and kvetching about how bad the Marvel and DC movies and TV shows are. We're going to show you why you probably shouldn't be complaining at all by watching and reviewing Avenging Guardians.
Probably exclusively on Tubi.
Yeah, probably. But we'll see how the parody films do on these, and we'll see you guys next week. If you want
You
to reach
never
out,
know. They could be better.
well, you never know. We'll find out. Hey, we'll eat crow, right?
Right? Exactly.
Anyway, Facebook, Lewis.BrightRaven, on Twitter at LewisBrightRaven2, or X if you want to call it, the Muskrat Channel is what I usually call it. You see more of my artwork besides just this little one image of the Raven there at deviantart.com/BrightRaven. If you want to see Chris's art, it's deviantart.com/fatboy73. You've been watching Quoth the Raven, Lewis Bright Raven, exclusively on YouTube. If you have suggestions for films or comics for us to talk about, Quoth the Raven LBR72@gmail.com is the address to reach out to me. And if I don't get back to you, try Lewis Bright Raven at yahoo.com. And if you want to reach out to Chris, it's ghthrowingstones@gmail.com.
Yes, sir.
Was there a European film that was like Guardians of the Galaxy? I vaguely remember a big werewolf in the place of Groot. If there is, we haven't found it yet, but we'll look for it.
Well, there's one called The Guardians, and it's Russian, and it's got like a giant werebear.
Okay.
Maybe that's what he's thinking of. I'm not sure.
I have no idea. We'll look at it. We'll have a fun time looking through all those crazy.
Yeah, now we'll have to review that one.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out everything as it goes. But there's another movie we're going to do later. But I have to talk to him off camera about that one.
I think he said that was it. So
he goes, okay, got you. That was it. Okay, all right, cool, very cool. Again, we thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys on Monday for Monday Manga. Hopefully, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it or not yet. I was planning on doing the last volume of what is it? Adam. I can't think of the name right now. Hold on a second. Adam the Beginning, volume 11, but I don't know if my store got it or not. I have to check tomorrow because Diamond, as many of you may know, has been screwing up everything since the bankruptcy.
Well, Diamond's dead now, so.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know if the books made it to the store or if I'm going to have to go try and find it at a bookstore or what. But we'll find out. And if I can't find it, then I'll do something else for Monday. But we'll figure out something. Okay.
Rest in pieces, Diamond.
Yeah. All right. And with that, we thank you for watching. See you next time. But the Raven.
Nevermore.